Hi, Michaela. How are you?
I'm good, Alyssa. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you. You
Yeah,
too.
thank you. So many of the people who will be tuning into this show are familiar with the previous adaptation from the 80s. So I wanted to know what aspects of the original television adaptation did you want to build off of when you started this project, and what did you want to see executed differently?
I think the major difference between the two is the point of view that it is presented. And I think the point of view in FX's spectacular Shogun, they wanted to present the Japanese point of view. It perhaps in the beginning, the first one was told from Blackthorn particularly. In this, it was more an ensemble cast. They wanted everyone's point of view to be portrayed, particularly authentically from the Japanese. So, yeah, it was very important to get that right and to do honor to the culture the way it was done in the book. It's it's complex to portray another culture. It takes time and care and attention to get that right. And I think that was very important to FX from the very beginning. And in fact, it's what intrigued us from the estate in the beginning was that they wanted to get that right and they wanted to do it from that perspective and they wanted to legitimately give time and care to the Japanese point of view and to see it through Toranaga's eyes as well as Blackthorn's eyes. So that was kind of what intrigued us about what FX wanted to do here. And then, of course, Justin and Rachel came on board, and their passion to do the same thing was evident. And it built and built and built like an orchestra from there.
Yes, absolutely. And I know you're a big advocate for bringing your father's work to the next generation. So I wanted to know, how do you hope this story will resonate with audiences? It's been almost 50 years since the release of the novel.
Has it been that
So,
long? Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it had.
well, okay. So I know that for my father, when he wrote, we grew up and we would hear him say, you know, I may pass on, but I hope that my books live much longer. And for us, this is a great culmination of that thought that he'd be very proud that people still want to read the books, that still they have that appeal, that broad appeal. I mean, good writing is difficult to find and it lives forever and it's living on in this. And to make a version with the complexity that's in the book is a real achievement. It's difficult to do. It's a big book. It's got a lot of layers and they're all in Shogun. They are all here in FX's Shogun. And it took many people's expertise, dedication, and many, many years to get this right. And it shows it can be done.
Oh, that's wonderful. I had a great conversation with my dad who told me that this
Oh,
was one of my grandfather's favorite books.
how
And he
lovely.
passed away before I was born. So it's kind of a cool way for me to connect with him. And it's so lovely hearing you talk about it. So it really is
Thank you.
generational.
It is generational and it's personal for me particularly and my family to see something come to fruition that is so beautifully accurate to the book. It meant a great deal to us to get it right and to be the stewards of the responsibility, is a lot. And then to see it come to fruition like this, to see the beautiful masterpiece that FX and Justin and Hero and Rachel and Anna and Cosmo and everyone, Helen, the costumers, the production values, it takes your breath away that it can be done. So we're very, very proud of this version, and I think he would be too, which is most important to me.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Michaela. I love talking to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to your grandfather who mentioned it. That was lovely.
Yes, thank you. Hi, guys. My
Hi.
name is
Hello.
Alyssa Threadgill, and I'm a writer for the Nocturnal. It's great to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Thank you. So, Anna, back in November, you posted on Instagram that you were nervous to share your version of your character and that her story was very close to your heart. What makes you feel so connected to her, and what was your relationship to this story prior to accepting this role?
I actually didn't really know too much about Shogun prior to hearing about it through my manager. So I had to pick up the novel and do a little bit of research on Hosokawa Garasha, and then obviously had multiple conversations with Justin and Rachel. The reason why she means so much to me is because I feel that I've never really seen a Japanese woman being depicted in this way in Western media. And I've always had a little bit of, I've seen questionable portrayals of women, and it just didn't feel right. And so I knew that if we were going to do this, we really needed to make sure that it was going to be authentic and accurate, and when Japanese people were going to watch it, they wouldn't feel weird about it. And I can proudly say that this one, I think, is the first time that we've really nailed it.
Oh, it's so good to hear. Yes. And Cosmo, I was really curious, how did you navigate the use of multiple languages in the show? And how do you think that challenge allowed you to gain insight into your character struggles, kind of understanding everybody?
Well, I suppose because the real world circumstances were fairly similar to the fictional circumstances, it was just a case of kind of embracing them and I guess trusting that things that would transpire within the context of those scenes would be credible within what the stories or the scene's demands were at any given moment. So it was kind of just helpful.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was all my questions for you guys. I really enjoyed your time today. And yeah, I really enjoyed the show a lot.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I made some time for it. I really liked this one.
Were you able to understand the Japanese culture and were you able to keep up with it? Because I know that, they're very complicated relationships and
They are, yes. I really took my time with it and reading the subtitles. Sometimes I would have to go back because it is new for me to watch kind of shows where you go back and forth between English. But it was really nice. And you guys were awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks
you
for saying
so
that.
much.
Yes. And Anna, I was going to say, I did a junket for Monarch during the strike, and I just missed being able to interview you. So it's so great to actually meet you now.
I was like, I don't remember talking to and
Yeah. It was
finally it happened.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alyssa.
Hi, guys. My name is Alyssa Threadgill. I'm a writer for the Nocturnal. It's so great to meet you both. I really enjoyed the show.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. So first, I wanted to know, what was your relationships to the novel prior to taking on this project?
I would say, both of us were of the generation that, missed the novel directly. It was more for us the book on everyone's parents' nightstand. I think that, speaking for myself, I came to it really only understanding that silhouette of its cover. This idea of a guy who looks a lot like me, wearing clothing that doesn't belong to his culture, and I think early on, I was conflicted about that silhouette. There's the representation side of it that is, maybe I can't speak to exactly how problematic it is, but what I can speak to is the creative side of it, that it was just frankly a story I'd seen before 1,000 times over, because of the outsized influence that the book has had on our culture. So many movies and television shows have been derived from this stranger in a strange land shape that the book really perfects in a certain respect. So, coming into it, I was very nervous about, we like to say as writers, like in search of new cliches. And are there any new cliches that can really be told within that structure? I would just say that what we found upon opening the book and actually reading it and not being jerks who are just literally judging books by their cover, we found that a lot of these answers were in the book itself, that it was actually a strikingly modern story about what it means to encounter another culture and to encounter oneself within that culture, in the sense that one can sort of come to the place of understanding that the ideal place to be is to kind of just zero oneself out of it and understand that you're not going to ultimately be able to change or impact that culture in a broader way. And that was all within the text of the book.
So don't waste your energy getting angry about that. Just kidding.
No,
for me, I came to the book similarly to Justin in that I had not read it before, though I was aware of its cultural impact. But I came to the book with a little more naivete, shall we say, in that I thought, wow, a book about Japanese people, just like me, as a person of Japanese descent. This is a great project for me to get involved in and for me to say something about. That was very, very early on in the process. And I learned very quickly that actually, that was obviously very silly to think that, because being Japanese American, born in Hawaii, this is a completely different experience and a completely different culture, one that's highly specific and nuanced, and as of now, unknowable to me just now. So.
Yeah, and I think that journey for both of us, from maybe both sides of that equation towards some middle or towards some mutual unknown, in a lot of ways define the process and approach we began to take on developing the show.
Yeah, I mean, I really saw in this show that it takes a bit of a stronger perspective on Japanese society, which I think is what the other versions were missing. So I wanted to know, you might have already answered it, but what inspired you to provide a little bit more context in that area, or kind of, correct the other versions that were already done?
Well, we can't speak for the miniseries because it wasn't really something that was in our bloodstream, that had seen. What I will say is that, if you're going to tell this story today, I think you have to go not just the extra mile, you have to go the extra, billion miles to truly engender a sense of respect for a culture that you're trying to render on screen, especially if you're coming at it through the lens of Western gaze, through the lens of, a point of view that is not that culture's. And, so we started with that in mind, and then went with where it took us, which is, okay, well, we're casting Hiroyuki Sanada as our star, and let's make him also a producer, a man who's worked in this business for 25 years in Hollywood alone, let alone all the lifetime he lived in Japan as an actor, as a child actor before it, to say, how have we gotten it wrong? Process-wise, what have we done wrong when telling stories about Japan, and how can we fix that as we get into it now? And listen to where Hiro told us to go, whether that was, here's a team of Shosa movement advisors who you need to hire and you need to bring to Japan in order to make sure that everyone is getting the movement right. Even your ADs will know how to enter background into the frame by the end of this once they've worked with this team. Or our costume advisors, hair, makeup, art department, language, historians, cultural advisors,
Obi tires,
all of these, experts in their trade who spent a lifetime in their industry doing exactly this, for the first time to get to bring them to the Hollywood system from a real place of agency that empowers them to stand up and say, no, this is not how we're going to do it. We're going to do it in this way. And for our Canadian and American crew to listen and to adjust and to learn and to perfect that system on our own terms. It was a real process, and it's a thorny process, because production is high stress. To watch it start to be discovered as we rolled it out. I mean, it was never something that we had some plan for from the beginning.
Yeah.
It just kind of took over as we went.
Yeah, and it wasn't only that, we're reaching for this ideal of authenticity. It was also just, it made the story so much better. We don't have the time to even go into all the little ways in which this just the process itself kind of rendered a much better story than we could have told ourselves. So
these little surprises, you remind me of, there's a scene in episode 7 where there's a character standing beneath a torii gate, kind of pondering the future. And Takeshi Fukunaga, who directed that episode, we were about to shoot it, and he was just telling the story of how when he was young, growing up in Hokkaido, he and his friends used to take turns tossing rocks to see if they could land it on top of the torii gate, and then they could get a wish. And we just said, well, that's great. Let's do it in the scene. And and Hiro said, let's get some pebbles. And he collected them and he just starts tossing them absurdly. But that bit of reality, that detail suddenly comes out in a way that we could never have possibly written that, have planned that, have heard that. But when you try to sort of create an environment where everyone is lending part of themselves to it from where they come from and who they are, you never know what kind of surprises you're going to find. And so that was a very exciting thing.
Oh, it's so great hearing from you guys, and I'm really excited for everybody to see the show. Thank you so much for your time today.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.